At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. And to begin the year, Pauly, we had the first 2 golf tournaments, of course, as always, in Hawaii, one in Maui and the other one in Honolulu. Now it moves to California, and our buddy Jeff Sealey joins the program. Sorry, got my Jeffs mixed up there. He is at Cupmaker Jeff on Twitter, and also you can get his Cupmaker pod, which is going to be up a little bit later on today. Jeff, good to talk to you again. How you been?
Great, fellas, and we're in the midst of a high variance stretch of golf tournaments here.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up because, the more articles I read about this specific tournament, the more people I talk to, the thought is, right, this could be 25 under winning the tournament like the tournament 2 weeks ago to begin the whole thing. Do you like this tournament as a big golf fan? But also, what does it mean in terms of variance and maybe taking some long bombs here to win it outright?
Well, I look at this 2 ways, right? I think, this is a week where you're going to take a few more bombs for less money than – I look at it 2 ways. One, you take a few more bombs for, a few pizza money bets, as you guys always say, more than you might normally. But also, there's a handful of guys who consistently play well here, and while their prices are so low, you can't necessarily bet them to win. I think there are some really good players who I'm going to bet top 20, and then I'm going to take some dart throws on some guys much higher up the board.
Okay. Then we'll get to those bombs coming up in a few minutes. Let's attack it, though, from looking at the guys at the top of the odds board. And again, something that you don't typically do. But why did Patrick Cantlay catch your eye this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You mentioned Jeff Sherman, and I was talking with him last night, and when I look at the bets that Sherman made, but a lot of times I look at his stuff and I try to figure out how he did what he did or why he did what he did. This week, I simply looked at his bets, and then I looked at strokes gained in this tournament, and that's Jeff Sherman's betting card. And so top of this list and strokes gained at this tournament is Patrick Cantlay. I mean, but at 10-1, I don't have a lot of interest. But at top 20, especially if you go to a book where ties pay full, I think it's a great play. And I would play Cantlay minus 120 or better in any matchup, except for maybe a Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he finished 26th here last year, but after a 9th, 2nd, and 9th year. Again, he leads the field in strokes gained at these courses over the last 10-plus rounds. I think he's just a tremendous top 20 bet. And you could say the exact same thing about Sungjae Im. Now, I'm not going to bet Sungjae outright, but he has 5 straight top 20s. So you just, you go out, you make a top 20 on Cantlay, you make a top 20 on Sungjae, and I think you're going to be happy with the result in those regards.
Okay. So for the first 2 weeks of the season, you've made a case for Eric Cole. Do you want to go back to war with him again this week?
Yeah, guys, we're going to have to start calling this segment the Eric Cole JT Poston segment because these guys have become my new Webb Simpson. I mean, they're 30-1 each this week. And I'm going to bet him top 20 again. I'm going to bet him every week when it's a short course and putting matters. Over the last 20 rounds, these guys are 2nd, 8th in my model. Cole back-to-back top 20s, Poston back-to-back top 10s. Here's what's crazy, guys. So Poston has 2 top 10s and a top 25 in his last 3 trips here. Cole came last year and finished 36th. In their last 20 rounds, Cole's 9th in the field on approach, Poston's 19th. On approach from 150 to 250, Cole is 2nd, Poston's 38th. In putting from 5 to 15 feet, any golf tournament you watch, the putts that matter are 5 to 15 feet. Last 20 rounds, Poston 2nd, Cole 11th. Last 20 rounds, birdie or better percentage. We talked about this being you're going to need 20, 25 under to win. Mm-hmm. Last 20 rounds, birdie or better percentage. Cole 1st, Poston 2nd. My 2 favorite plays for the money in this thing are JT Poston and Eric Cole.
Okay, so then, as always, those will be smaller bets to win it outright. What do you want to do in the placement markets? Are you going to bet them both top 10 smaller bets? or bigger bets, I should say, in top 20, or how do you want to approach it with both Cole and Poston?
I'm going to play half a unit top 20. I'm going to play 0.3 of a unit top 10. I'm going to play 0.2 of a unit top 5, and I'm going to play 1/10 of a unit outright. Just scale it on down. We have to do with those guys every week, and long run, that's going to be a profitable way to bet that.
All right, so you want to bet him across the board pretty much. Same thing with Tony Finau?
No, Tony Finau is interesting. I mean, he's 35 to 1. He makes a lot of sense at this price. I mean, he grades out number 9 in my model, 14th in this field in total strokes gained at this event. But I'm just going to bet Finau top 10 at plus 330 or better, and probably top 5 plus 700.
Okay.
The reason being, I think at some point his putter's going to let him down. Another guy you guys know from Vegas all the time is Taylor Montgomery. He's 50 to 1. He's pretty straightforward. Plays well in the desert, elite putter. Comes in with good recent form and took 5th here last year. So he's kind of another version of Eric Cole, JT Poston with a little lesser form. I'm just going to play Taylor Montgomery top 20 and maybe a dart on him to win, knowing he's 50 to 1. I'm going to skip the top 10 and top 50 markets there. And then lastly, we got Adam Hadwin, who's also 50 to 1. He's tied with Cantlay for strokes gained in this event over the past 23 rounds. Why not play him? I mentioned Sherman's favorite play this week. But I'm just going to play Hadwin top 20. Good course history. Recent form is solid. It doesn't really grade out amazingly well in my model. So for me to pick a guy to win, he needs to be at least inside the top 20 in my model. He's not. So I'm going to play Hadwin top 20 and then just pass on the outright there.
How about some bombs and maybe one of the biggest bets you've made in terms of a price on a top 20? How about to win in a top 20 with some long shots?
Sure, guys. I mean, Erik van Rooyen is 100 to 1, and he took 6th here last year. We just talked about, if there's ever an event, 3 of the last 5 years, 200 to 1 or higher win this event. So some bombs. Erik van Rooyen, 100 to 1, 6th here last year, 22nd at the Century 2 weeks ago. Over the last 20 rounds, birdie or better percentage. I mentioned Eric Cole first, JT Poston second. Number 3, Erik van Rooyen. So I like that as a bomb play. He's plus 350, top 20. I think that's worthwhile. Patton Kizzire is an easy dart throw, 110 to 1. I'm going to play him top 20 and then some pizza money to win. 13th in my short-term model. Finished 11th and 22nd in the last 2 trips here. And he's plus 330, top 20. I think that's absolutely worth a bet. And then lastly, this is probably the biggest homer bet you're going to hear me make, but it's unbelievable. Right now, you can find Eric Barnes top 20 at between 18 and 20 to 1. That's to make the top 20. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not, but I think 18 to 20 to 1 is worth a small wager. So Barnes made the PGA Tour after years on mini tours in Korn Ferry. He played in the fall swing in 2022, where he had a 10th at the RSM, finished 13th in the Farmers before he tore up his knee and had to have knee surgery. This is his first event back. And when he played in this event last year, the reason he missed the cut is because he didn't putt well. How do I know what to expect from his putter? I just played golf with him 2 weeks ago. And he's a member of Concession, the hardest putting golf course in America. I think the putting is going to be there for Eric Barnes this week. As long as your putting is there, you can get through the cut here. And 20 to 1 to be top 20, I'm in on that this week with Eric Barnes.
You can follow Jeff on X. He's at Cupmaker Jeff, and the Cupmaker podcast will be out a little bit later on today. So you come on every Wednesday. Why did you not give out Grayson Murray last week at 525 to 1?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, and again, guys, that's what makes this so hard. I mean, we mentioned this time of year. Remember when Koepka famously said that the majors are the easiest to win? And that's the truth. Like, you look at the Masters, how many guys can win? 15? I mean, this week, 50, 60 guys can win this event. I mean, that's the biggest difference, which is what makes it really hard to bet. So you keep, I think, playing the placement markets, smaller bets, and taking a few dart throws here and there is definitely the way to approach it this week, because frankly, I'd be surprised if a favorite won.
Yeah, this is my approach, and one of my betting resolutions for 2024 was to dial back the number of outrights per tournament and add more of the top 10s and specifically the top 20s. I think it's a better way to approach it.
No, there's no doubt, especially if you can get some guys, especially some of your bombs.
Sure.
Maybe finish 3 to 1. All you got to do is hit 1 out of 3 of those and you're even.
Yeah, that's exactly spot on. So again, the podcast is going to be out a little bit later on today, called the Cupmaker Podcast. Jeff, thanks for the time as always. Good luck, man.
Hey, fellas, take care.
Yep.
Thank you.
Not a fan of watching And I love golf. I watch, bits and pieces, if not all, of every single tournament, especially the big ones. But the 25, 26, 27 under tournaments, I'm not a big...
good.
But
good breakdown.
Yeah.
And I also like I just played golf with him. I like that
That's
too.
a pretty nice little...
Yeah, good
slide that one in.
podcast. Knows all these guys. And we've had a 200 and a 500 to 1 cash already this year with these golf tournaments.
Pretty good.
Not bad. Mm-hmm. Then it's a whole different ball game now with these top 20s, top 10s.
Yeah, that's got to be something that you are looking at because, again, I will remind people that I love hitting golf outrights. It doesn't happen very often, but when they do, it's definitely nice because there's such big prices usually that would come in. But I'm totally fine, and I bet 2 top 20s last week. Thigala, he missed the cut. Eric Cole got there, and he was in the plus money range. So overall, with the Thigala loss and with those 2 placement bets, won money because Cole was plus money.
We've done this a couple times on the show in the history. Best thing going is a professional golfer.
Oh, yeah.
What they make, and you walk down the street, no one knows who you are.
That's exactly right.
We did the Lee Westwood thing. How much money that guy was worth?
Huh?
Lee Westwood?
It blew our minds.
Yeah. These guys, you walk down the street, these top 20 golfer in the world, the guy could sit down here playing blackjack at the bar and no one would recognize him. It'd probably take 2 weeks.
That's exactly right. If you're ranked somewhere between, outside the top 20, if you're between 20 and 60 and you're playing every week or, a bunch on the tour, who knows how much cash you have and how much money, what your net worth is at that point. And yet you could get away. Nobody will recognize you anywhere. It doesn't matter what you do.
A friend of a friend was a caddy for Dottie Pepper. That guy had like 3 houses.
Sure.
Dottie Pepper.
Right.
He was the caddy.
Yeah.
What he had. So
we ran down the list one time. Like Zach Johnson's made $100 million in his career, something like that. Something stupid on the tour. Up next, we will try to do the impossible, which is ranking them in order this year. Yikes. Let's follow the money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get unlimited access to the vsin.com/picks page. Use the code FTM. You get 10% off the annual subscription. Follow the money. Code FTM. We love all of you, most of you, 98%. And I know a lot of you are upset. We just work here. They don't run anything by us. They don't consult us with decisions. And I know there's been a lot of changes with the new website and with the app going away. But you're blowing up our timelines here, and I understand your frustration. But it is what it is. I hate to use that term, but I just work here. Mitch just works here. But there's been changes, and that's how it's going to be, and that's a direction they went in.
The site looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It's sleek. I think it's a major upgrade from what we had previously. And now this is in the VSiN Daily today, written by Bill 80. And he was answering a bunch of questions regarding your feedback. And most of the feedback was about the retirement of the VSiN app. And as he points out, we, meaning VSiN/DraftKings, made a decision to retire the app and dedicate the resources to making VSiN.com more mobile-friendly. And so, as he also said, we are working hard to make this transition as easy as possible. And in the VSiN Daily, he sent out some links because the audio player on the site is the same as the one that was on the app. Now, you can also, I tweet out this stuff before the show every single day. I tweet out a rundown of who's going to be on, at what time they're going to be on, maybe some of our talking points. Again, we only have so many characters to tweet out, so I can't get to everything. And also, I tweet out where you can watch the show, and I also send out the link where you can listen, which was included in today's tweet at Mitch Moss Radio, and that's the link that you're going to want to file away and listen to VSiN moving forward. In the VSiN Daily, he also has the link for where you can watch for VSiN Pro subscribers and for the replays as well if you are a VSiN Pro subscriber. And again, as Pauly just told you, 10% off new subscriptions at vsin.com/subscribe. All right, so trying to rank the remaining quarterbacks in this year's playoffs, very difficult to do.
Did you notice anything of the 8 remaining quarterbacks?
Well, I noticed a lot. I don't know what angle you're going for here, though. But
okay, I noticed that every single one but one is a first-round pick.
Uh-huh.
You have all first-round picks, and then Mr. Irrelevant. Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick. Goff, number 1 pick. Love, 26th pick. Jackson, late first round.
Yeah. Allen.
Josh Allen, high pick.
Mahomes, middle.
Yeah, right.
Early to middle.
Right. Then there's Mr. Irrelevant.
This was very difficult for me to do because I don't, Paul, honestly, and I was sitting there yesterday. I was looking at some of the advanced numbers like EPA per play and passing EPA per play and DVOA. And I just okay, so how much of that do we actually factor in for ranking the quarterbacks this year compared to the history of what these guys have played in the playoffs, right? Because if you're going to go based on history alone, well, then Mahomes has to be number 1 overall. But if you go with how he has played this year, and, oh, by the way, how much help he's gotten from his receivers, you probably can't go Mahomes number 1. So it's got to kind of be, you got to mesh the two together. And so, I don't know, I'm kind of spitballing here. I put Baker Mayfield 8th overall. Is that fair to him? Or could you make the case that he needs to be ahead of somebody like, I don't know, Jordan Love or C.J. Stroud, because this is their first, basically, year ever playing? We
thought experience mattered. It didn't last week.
Right.
I mean, CeeDee Lamb makes the comments, and then they get run out, and the youngest team in the league buries them. And it was no experience against a lot of experience in the youngest roster, and the game's over in the second quarter. Mm-hmm. I like what Kyle Shanahan said yesterday. We were prepping for Green Bay in the second quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this was, and a shot at Dan Quinn, too, but he was right. That sucker was over. And that was the other thing I failed to mention. It was one of the best results of the whole year. People had the Cowboys every which way but loose, straight up teasers, and in play. They kept betting Dallas when they were losing to come back and win the game. But this is a tough assignment, man. He was great on Monday night, but
it was also Philadelphia's defense.
Yeah, true. And I don't like the comments like, why is Detroit laying 6.5? I don't give 2 bleeps about what happened in Week 6 because they didn't move the ball against it. Who cares?
No, it has nothing to do with this game.
Week 1, Baltimore buried Houston. Mm-hmm. Stroud's first start. You crumple it up, you throw it in the garbage.
Week 3, Philadelphia buried Tampa Bay.
It
had nothing to do with Monday night.
That's right. So you have to pick someone last. Mm-hmm. It's tough, but I can't. It's tough, but it sounds about right.
Okay. I put Jared Goff 7th.
Oh, wow. What? 7?
Okay, you want to put him alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also don't forget, you ripped the daylights out of the guy for how bad he was with the Rams.
Yeah, so?
Okay, but that also factors into this now.
Yeah, well, how do you want to deter? Are you hot? Who do you trust? Guy to win a game? I mean, he hasn't played well all year, and his wide receivers have let him down. I got to have Mahomes 1 or 2. I have to. Until someone can beat the guy, and in order to beat him, going back, you have to play unbelievable football and score 30, 40 points.
Oh, this is okay. So part of the reason why I had Goff this low is because I can't, in my head, and I went back and forth with all of these, and I'm just spitballing mostly. Can you really justify having Goff higher than Stroud or Love right now?
Yes, you can.
I couldn't.
Really?
I could not do it. I mean, and this is no knock at Jared Goff. I bet the guy to win the MVP after Week 5. Mm-hmm. I like the guy. But C.J. Stroud he's an atypical rookie quarterback.
Without key weapons.
Yes. We have not seen this before from a rookie. So I had to have Stroud ahead of him because he's doing it without a bunch of his guys. Now, this could also come back to haunt me this week, and it very likely will because they're also taking on one of the best teams in football on the road coming off of a bye week in the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm. I have to have Goff ahead of Love because it's been a roller coaster for Love. In the middle of the season. I had a good-sized bet on him when they played the Rams, when that was Brett Rippon and Stafford was out. I mean, they had problems moving the ball in that game against the bad Rams defense. He was bad against the Saints till the rally in the fourth quarter. But, the last month, unbelievable.
Last 9 games, best quarterback in football.
Oh, yeah, sure.
His numbers are, 22-1 touchdown to INT?
Yep.
So, I have Stroud 6th. And I have Love 5th overall. Again, I went back and forth with this the entire time.
Oh, it's hard, no doubt.
Do you agree with that? Stroud behind Love by 1?
I think you're going to have Josh Allen too high. Leads the league was number 2 in interceptions.
Yeah, but I can't.
Turnover machine.
Yeah, I know. Josh Allen was impossible for me to rank on this list.
Yep.
Because I actually had him at number 1 for a second.
Right. And that's how you want to, And that's how you also want to, what's the categories, what goes into this? Because, as I just said, it's been an ugly year, and they've been awful offensively.
Well,
but I'm talking about one guy to win a big game. And he doesn't win it every year, but every year he's been in the AFC title game, and that's Mahomes.
Right. So I went back and forth quite a bit with Love, Stroud, Purdy as well, because I know he was the short shot to win the MVP there for a couple of weeks because he's got so much. You can't deny what Purdy did, though. He had one really, really bad game. Other than that, like all of his numbers this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So, and you can't, with these guys that we're talking about, right? Purdy got hurt last year, NFC title game against the Eagles.
Okay.
So, like, postseason history doesn't really exist for him. Love, clearly nothing. Stroud, nothing. Mayfield, really nothing. Goff is the one guy so far that has postseason experience. So this is why I don't have any of these guys in the top 3.
Well, he played well in the playoffs. It was just Belichick undressed him and McVay.
That's true.
They were out-coached, and they couldn't do anything in that game.
Yep.
Okay, now I want to hear where you have Lamar.
I have Purdy 4th.
All right.
Because, again, like, it's all this year pretty much. You can't ignore the numbers. However, he does have incredible weapons on the team.
What's wrong with last year? He carved up Seattle.
Oh, no, I know.
He struggled against Dallas, and then he got hurt right away in the Philly game.
Yeah.
And you can't call them liars. Everything they said was accurate. Oh, we would have moved the ball and killed him. Well, they probably would have.
Yeah.
But then he got hurt.
So top 3, forget about it. I mean, I went Josh Allen 3rd.
I have him lower. I have to.
What, you have him 4th or 5th?
You have to. Low turnovers. He's got to take care of the ball.
He's also responsible for, 50 touchdowns this year?
He's also erratic.
Oh, you get the good and the bad with that guy.
That's right. Okay.
So you would have him below Purdy?
Yeah.
Not below Goff. Don't tell me below Goff.
No.
I got Lamar number 2.
See, this one's tough.
It's
because
very
of the
tricky.
history. Yeah, because of the history. Now, he put up the numbers in the 2019 game, but there was a fumble, there were some turnovers, but they went up and down the field against Tennessee. They just turned it over and had issues in the red zone, but I think he threw for 300 and had a ton on the ground in that game.
And again, this is why it's so tricky. I have Mahomes number 1 overall. If we were doing it just this year alone, clearly these rankings would be different. Mahomes would not be number 1. He might not touch number 1. But if you base it, again, not all his fault this year. Horrible play from his wide receiver, so many drops.
Yep.
And on top of that, like when you look at the overall history of this guy, you can't deny what he's done. It's every single year. You can't kill him. Uh-huh. And this is the first ever, think of it, first ever road playoff game for the guy.
Yep.
That tells you all you need to know.
And it's Brady territory. He's rarely a dog.
That's right. Only 10 times before this game in his career.
And he's 8-1-1 ATS.
So I go 1 through 3. I go Mahomes 1, Jackson 2, and Allen 3. You'd bump Allen down, you said.
Yeah. You're too high on Lamar.
I might be.
Lamar's too high.
He's also going to win a second MVP this year.
Yeah.
So I'm factoring this year's play into it quite a bit for him. I might be too high on him.
He's got the most to lose this round in this playoffs. Lamar Jackson. You've got to go to the Super Bowl now. You have to. You're a 10-point favorite, and you're going to be at home. Whoever in a banged up team coming out in teams with issues. Yeah. Whoever wins that Buffalo game.
All right, they're hitting 80% on the year in this spot. Find out which team next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We love Omaha Steaks. Incredible. You'll fall in love at first bite with their tender steaks, juicy burgers, air-chilled chicken, and more. Omaha Steaks guarantee you're going to love every bite. And when you go to omahasteaks.com/VSiN, 4 free air-chilled boneless chicken breast, 4 free rich, juicy boneless pork chops with your order. Minimum purchase may apply. omahasteaks.com/VSiN.
It's a really big card tonight in the NBA. Mavericks are playing at the Lakers. So the Mavs are currently the 5 seed in the Western Conference. The Lakers are the 10. They're a game below 500. The Mavericks are actually 12-7 ATS on the road. That is now the best overall mark in the league. Actually, they're a tick behind the Kings because the Kings did cover last night, but they lost the game to the Suns, and they blew a 22-point lead with 8 minutes to go in the game. Incredible. The Lakers are only 8-12 ATS at home, 13-7 to the under so far on the year. Yep.
I love how they're doing this now. Your marquee primetime games are middle of the week and putting this one on ABC. Mm-hmm. And, as we talked about, as Julian was just on, what's going on with the Pelicans in a couple games, but specifically Dallas. Dallas has a ton of weird losses when their opponent has been sitting key guys, and then they have some big wins with Luka out. What's happened? They beat the Knicks without Luka. They had another big win without Luka the other night. And they got boat raced by a couple teams. And Julian pointed out the Pelicans game. Pelicans sat everybody and beat the Mavs. But with this one, it's, how much does Ham tinker with the lineup? And have they found something? And finally did something click as they beat OKC and look good, and now laying points at home against the Mavs. And they got to get going here. I mean, they are plus 115 to make the playoffs. That's it. LeBron and AD, again, I keep repeating myself, but you have to. They're playing this well and aren't missing games. And this is their record? Under 500? Come on.
Yep. So a good win the other night against OKC. Maybe that was the beginning here of something for this team. Remember, Paul, they took off around this time last year. And they were, I bet them at a really big number last year. I think it was like 47-1 here at Circa to win the West. When they were down and out, they were worse last year than they were this year.
Well, they had to get rid of the vampire. They did that. They got rid of Westbrook.
And it did turn around for them.
They had to get him out of there, and they made a lot of key changes. And to what you just said, is there help on the way? Do they make a trade? Does Golden State punt on the season? Do they get a Zach LaVine? Do they make a big trade and try to grab a Kuzma or something like that? So I think Pelinka will be busy at the deadline.
Okay, so the Warriors, boy, this is it's hilarious. I was looking around the other day for odds to win the Western Conference. At one book here in town, the Warriors are like the third shot on the board. They're like plus 350 to win the West. They're 2-1 to make the playoffs. Plus $2 to make the playoffs.
3 now.
Plus $3? It moved last. Okay.
Right. Worth repeating again. Their schedule was a joke. They played so many teams. I think it was now up to 24 games with teams with a losing record, and this is their record.
How are they ahead of like 8 teams in the Western Conference?
Huh?
They're third or fourth on the board at one spot to win the West. They're terrible.
Yep.
I saw Matt Steinmetz, who I used to work with in the Bay Area, who's covered the Golden State Warriors in the NBA for a long, long time. They had on, and he's just been crushing them, but they also had somebody on their show yesterday, and they said 2 words comes to mind. 2 words, that's it, about the Warriors. It's over.
Yep.
So they are, now this I saw opened up Jazz 3.5 last night, and I thought that was way too low. Jazz are up to 4.5 right now. Total is 242. Again, this is worth repeating. Utah, 16-4 ATS
Beautiful.
At home, covering on average by 9.7 points per game. They are taking teams out behind the woodshed, and it's just haymaker after haymaker.
Yep. And do they go for it now? Do they keep this together? And do they stand pat and don't trade people at the deadline? That's number one. Because if they don't, I think they're ahead of the Lakers. Think about that they're going to get in here and you can cash this big ticket. The other thing, to put this in perspective, Golden State is only 3 games ahead of Memphis in the loss column. Ja was suspended 25 games, and then he comes back. He gets hurt. Bane's out. They haven't had anybody the whole year. That really puts it in perspective how bad the Warriors have been.
Yep. Bucks are playing at the Cavs. Don't look now, but Cleveland, they've won 5 straight.
Incredible job here.
They have Milwaukee in their crosshairs. Bucks, again, 25-15 to the over, best in the league, but only 16-23-1 ATS, Pauly, on the season.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but a week ago, Milwaukee was minus 2,000 to win the division. Mm-hmm. If they lose this game, they're only 2 up on the Cavs in the division. So to play like this, they're hot. They're scoring 23-15. I still like this Milwaukee team. They're going to make a trade. It took a while. Issues defensively, no doubt about it. But that was a big win against Sacramento and what Lillard did. So I just think come playoff time, they're going to be a tough out. But then again, Boston's a freight train, and they're 19-0 at home. And Boston, either 1 or 2 for most talented team. Doc Rivers said it's the Clippers. But certainly Boston's going to be they're going to probably win the East. But Milwaukee still, I think there's too much anti-Milwaukee stuff going on.
I don't have this date memorized. You probably do. The NBA trade deadline, is that the
February 9th.
It's the same week as
Friday
Super Bowl.
before Super Bowl. Yeah.
Why would they do that?
They did it last year.
Why would they keep doing that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's paramount that the teams that you just mentioned, Boston, Milwaukee, and I have to throw in Philadelphia again, all 3 of those teams must make a move. And I say that because you can't allow like 2 of them to make it, and then you're going to be like, oh, crap, we missed out. Maybe we should have made a move as well. And now there were rumblings to begin the season that the Sixers could go and get Pascal Siakam. Well, maybe that ship has sailed because he could end up with Indiana by today, maybe.
It'd be great. Be a great move. I hope the Pacers can do that. In any event, I like the over in this Bucks game.
236.5 now?
Milwaukee, Indiana. Atlanta, you're seeing teams that are just top 3-4 offensive efficiency, and at the bottom. Milwaukee not as bad, but Indiana and Atlanta near the bottom in defense.
Could make the case for another over tonight. It's the Heat at the Raptors. Miami's a 2.5-point road favorite. The total here is 227. This is Toronto. Since Quickly and Barrett have been playing after the OG Anunoby trade, 6-2 to the over. The average total in those games, 235.3 points per game. The average points scored per game, 244.5. It's actually 251. If you can't do this, but if you take away their last game against Boston, which was 106-95, take that one out, it's 244.5 points combined last 7 games.
Ooh.
So they have been flying over.
Yep.
I haven't bet them every game. I bet them a couple times, and tonight might be another one where I go to war with over 227.
Sounds good.
Magic are playing at the Hawks.
Yeah, a bit of a funk now here.
For Orlando?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because now, remember, they were so hot, and at one time they were the 3 seed. And now they're not even going to win that division. It looks like it's going to be Miami, even with Miami, Butler's missed games, but Miami's 2 up on Orlando now. But then again, how do you go to war with the Hawks? And it's been a disaster at home ATS. And that game on MLK Day, they're up 35 in the third quarter. They're laying 8.5. Spurs cut it to 8.
Yep.
And Atlanta hit 2 free throws to win by 10.
Overall in the year, again, Hawks 10-29 overall ATS, worst mark in the NBA. At home, they're 4-14 ATS. The Magic are 26-14 ATS overall, third best in the NBA, 13-9 against the spread on the road.
Yep. Okay.
But Atlanta's been my kryptonite. So
that's right. How do you feel about your Minnesota futures?
The Timberwolves?
Yep.
Plus one, really good.
Plus 150 to get the 1 seed.
33-1. Whiffed on that.
What'd you whiff on?
They were third on the year before the season started. I'm like, they look attractive at 33-1. Did I bet it? No.
What do you have though? You got stuff, right? You got 60.
I'm talking about to be the 1 seed in the Western Conference.
The 1 seed.
They were 33-1. I'm making a case for it, and I take.
Oh my God!
Hate myself for that one, but okay. I got him to not to win the division, but I got him to win the West.
Yep, 6-1 to win the division. Good. We'll see. They're 2 up on OKC and 3 up on Denver. They're laying big points tonight, a lot of points, and Boston laying 16 against the Spurs, as Julian mentioned. Boston is $8 to get the 1 seed now at DraftKings. How about that? But with San Antonio, listen, Wembanyama's putting up ridiculous numbers.
Yep.
But can you win any type of award when your team's this bad?
That's a great question,
They're 7-32.
Right. And so if they win, 15, 20 games on the year tops, and they're not going to win much more than that, and Holmgren and OKC, they win 53 games and they're the 2 seed, and he puts up comparable numbers, did they give it to Wemby?
Yeah, boy, it's tough. I can't see it.
But they have
the worst record in the Western Conference. Even Portland has 10 wins.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You were getting embarrassed by Atlanta. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Down 35. I know they came back to make it look respectable, but that was...
It's like the quarterback and wide receiver, that the team's so bad, all their numbers are in garbage time in the fourth quarter because you're throwing down 3 touchdowns. I mean, the numbers are there, but you're 7-32. Clippers 6-1 to get the 1 seed, by the way. They have the best record in the NBA going back here. It's like an 18-4 run.
Yeah, since December 1st.
Only a couple games behind the T-Wolves. And that 6-1, that's juicy.
Yeah. They could do that.
Clicking.
Yeah, they are. But again, the T-Wolves in a big spot the other night. Everybody made the case for the Clippers.
It was a good win.
T-Wolves got them.
Right.
And they controlled that game.
They're up. Well, they fell asleep. They were up 18, and then next thing you know, it's a 3-point game. But sure, that was a hell of a performance.
Up next, we'll get into some props that we have for the divisional round and look at some updated odds on coaches' landing spots in the NFL here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, bringing you a great offer. New offers, new customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code VEGAS. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, code VEGAS. The crown is yours. And if you're new to sports betting or also with a new state, make sure you get that offer. And we had a winner last night on the pregame with the TNT when we gave out the Sixers. You mentioned how bad the Nuggets have been on the road. Great game. Sixers get the win and the cover. So look for that as well, and all the great offers, NBA, NFL, and everything they have to offer with the specials at DraftKings. Playoffs. Go ahead.
That was like 80 apiece at halftime.
Yeah, it was.
Those two teams.
I couldn't get to 260 in play. I couldn't get to 260. I look up with like a minute left in the fourth quarter. Denver had 11 points in the fourth quarter.
That's always fun, huh? Okay, this is from Jeremy Fowler on ESPN last night talking about former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick. Fowler said, quote, I was told from the beginning that Bill Belichick would likely target talented yet underachieving teams.
Oh.
Okay. That would not be, to me, that's not the Dallas Cowboys. Have they underachieved? Yes, but they're a playoff team. This, to me, would mean a team that has missed out on the playoffs in recent years, but they're talented enough to completely, right? This would be like Brady going to the Buccaneers. He knew that they were super talented.
Atlanta and the Chargers.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be the two teams that come to mind.
Yep.
And he interviewed with Atlanta already.
So did Harbaugh.
The Chargers' next head coach, Bill Belichick, is 9-1. Harbaugh is minus $2.
Yep. There was a report, some social media stuff, and the guy has over 30,000 followers. Expect an announcement by Thursday. Harbaugh to the Chargers.
Okay.
Do with that what you want.
Belichick to the Falcons, minus 150. So compare that. He's minus 150 Atlanta. He wants to go to a talented yet underachieving team.
Yep.
Chargers 9-1. The Chargers cannot screw this up. Yet I have this much faith in them to get the job done.
All right. Well, it's pointing in the Harbaugh direction. We'll see, though, right? Yeah. And then what happens with Vrabel? First things first. What's going on in Philadelphia? And but the big one is Dallas. I mean, if he gets rid of McCarthy, then what happens?
Well, here are the odds on that, by the way. Which head coach will be fired or leave first by week 1, 2024? McCarthy is minus 350 compared to Sirianni, plus 225. I mean, he's got to be a big favorite, McCarthy. Just because it's cute to talk about Sirianni potentially leaving doesn't mean that guy's gone. Will McCarthy be the head coach of the Cowboys in week 1? The no is minus $3. Sirianni, the yes is minus 150, head coach of the Eagles. Will Mike Tomlin be the head coach of the Steelers week 1, 2024? The yes, minus 350. He came out yesterday.
That's got to move up now after what he told the players.
Sure.
And not only that, then you had Hayward and T.J. Watt say, I'm only playing for Coach T. So,
and he's got the 1 year left on the contract. Came out and said what he had to say yesterday. I'd probably take that prop off the board. And these are low limits that we're talking about anyway. So next Eagles head coach, if it's not Sirianni, Vrabel is minus 150. Then Belichick would be 4-1. Watch out for Bobby Slovic. He's going to end up somewhere.
I say Tennessee.
If he wants to do it this year, he can have a job.
Okay, right. But that's the thing about with these teams still playing. And then how much does it hurt them? Yep. And are these owners impatient? Ben Johnson's the favorite to go to Washington. What if Detroit wins again?
All right.
And what if one of these teams go to the Super Bowl? How long are you going to hold off? Maybe like San Diego, let's say, the Chargers pass on Harbaugh or something doesn't get done. I was like, we could have that. I don't know.
Yeah, Johnson to the Commanders, as you said, he's minus 140. Slovic is 3-1. Harbaugh 6-1. Belichick plus 650. What if they whiff on all four of those guys? Mike McDonald, D.C., Baltimore, he's 9-1. Does Bieniemy have any chance whatsoever? He's 12-1. Or is this going to be another cycle where we hear that and he's going to be maybe up for some coaching jobs, but he doesn't get one?
I'm sure that'll happen. Everyone else that was associated with anything to do with Kansas City and Mahomes got a job, but him.
I'll tell you what, this is, I think you can find some long shots here. Next Cowboys head coach, if it's not Mike McCarthy, assuming that Jerry Jones whacks him, Belichick is minus 175. Not necessarily going to happen. Slovic's plus 550. Vrabel is 6-1. Harbaugh plus 650. I think Dan Quinn, after what happened on Sunday, that's gone. He's 8-1. Could Ben Johnson be a player in Dallas? He's 12-1. You might get a wonky hire here if just because Jerry Jones is that, he's filled with that much lunacy.
Boy, I'm trying to think.
Pete Carroll is 20-1.
I think he's done.
Would you fall?
I guess it's all we're talking about guys in their 70s. Well, I guess it's like being the president of the United States, though.
Sure.
We're talking about guys in their 70s and 80s.
Honestly,
what I mean,
think about that one for a second. If Belichick, which, again, doesn't have to happen to Dallas, Slovic, Vrabel, Harbaugh, Quinn, Angles here where they go somewhere else, is Pete Carroll the most outrageous thing you've ever heard to Dallas, knowing Jerry Jones? And Pete Carroll still wants to keep coaching?
Yeah. Pete, retire. Come on. I know you're full of energy and chewing the gum and stuff, but it's put your feet up, relax. Take an advisor role and call it a career.
Honestly,
it's been a hell of a run. I mean, you're 71?
72
years old.
I wanted to see like 3 to 4 years of him coaching Washington, the Huskies. And that'd
be something.
I'm just paying every recruit possible.
Yeah.
And I'm an unbelievable recruiter anyway.
Okay. So you mentioned about you don't know what Jerry Jones could do, and that's
who does?
How about Tepper? Kellen Moore's the favorite. That's lunacy. Kellen Moore. But he's liable to do anything. Number one, who wants that job?
That's the big part of it.
Number two, it's like, well, I'm only going to get 2 years. It could go sideways in a hurry, and he could throw me out. And then who knows? That guy's he's not going to listen to anybody. I mean, he's Bobby Axelrod a little bit. I'm going to just do what I want and the hell with it.
Maybe that could be the spot for Bieniemy?
I don't know. What's he at? Do you see odds on him?
Yeah, he's 9-1.
Hey.
Kellen Moore.
Maybe they go defense. I don't know. You just went offense and it blew up in your face.
Well,
but then again, you want to have someone to come in and improve young and try to salvage this train wreck. But
I'll give you another angle here. And it really doesn't even matter who Dave Tepper hires in Carolina. How about a bet on the Panthers head coach to be the first guy fired again next year? The way that he operates.
Yeah.
It's going sideways. There's no first-round pick.
It's happened.
Bryce Young's awful again.
Niners did it, right?
Back-to-back years.
Wasn't it Tom Sula and Kelly?
Kelly and Tom Sula, yeah.
Back-to-back, one and done. Okay. Good props at DraftKings. Every team this weekend to score a touchdown. Yes, minus $2.
You played that last week,
that.
right?
Yep, at plus 150. Now it's $2. Yep.
You going to go to war again?
Yes. Every team to score 2 touchdowns, plus 750. Will every team kick a field goal? Yes, plus 275.
Need 8 teams. One game is going to be played in Buffalo. Another game is going to be played in Baltimore. Possible elements there.
You're going to be fine, though, in Buffalo. I know the weather can change. But
yeah. One game is in San Francisco. Another game is going to be in a dome. I'll tell you, I don't...
The thing that hurts you there is it'll blow out, and then you're forced to throw. But that's... You can't, it didn't happen last week. Miami only scored 7.
And 2 teams, by the way, playing with kickers I really can't trust in the same game.
Yes.
Green Bay and San Francisco.
Point. Every team with a passing touchdown. Yes, plus 260.
And you have, again, 2 games on the board that are priced right around 9 or 10 points. So the favorites you would expect absolutely will have a passing touchdown based on game flow here. Teams coming back. Good quarterback play anyway out of Stroud and Love to match them. You get Mahomes and Allen in one game. That might not be bad.
All teams to score a touchdown and a field goal. 7-1.
Now we're getting a little
That's a big ask, I know. And most points by any team. 37.5. Over minus 125.
Oh, I think I've done the breakdown of this every single year, and I think we get a team in the 40s, don't we? I'll go back and look. I'll have that one by Friday.
Uh-huh.
And the Packers scored 48 this last weekend.
Yep.
And how about this? The Texans, if you bet them to be the highest scoring team, give you 45. You can't cash that ticket.
Can you believe that? Isn't that something?
That's a rough one to take.
Yep. Purdy and Love combined for 8 touchdowns, plus 850.
Oh, boy.
Okay, it's a big one. St. Brown has 75 yards in each half, 16-1. I could see that.
I love that guy.
I could, yes.
He's one of my favorite players in the NFL.
Yes, you know where it's going, and you can't stop it. Does Rice do it again? 130 and a score, plus 650. Do Knox and Kincaid do it again?
Oh.
Do they combine for 2 touchdowns, 7-1? And more stuff is coming in. They update it every day. Will C.J. Stroud throw for 150 in each half, plus 750? Can't count that guy out. That's another one. It's going to Nico Collins. What are you going to do about it?
Well, Ravens will have an answer this week.
Well, okay, probably. But still.
Up next, Arash Marchese is going to join the show. He covers the L.A. and Vegas sports scenes. Who will the Chargers end up hiring? We'll ask him next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.